And welcome to day 2630 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Today, sipping coffee on the porch and thinking about communication in our relationships, relationship communication. And I want to share quickly, and I'm going to do it quickly because I wasn't so quick on my other videos today, 5 best practices across all types of relationships for good communication, and then 5 pitfalls that most of us are guilty of at some point, maybe not daily, maybe multiple times a day, but maybe not. And help us to be more effective in our relationships because we are using effective communication. We're improving our communication a little bit every day. Oh, some days coffee is just awesome. So I'm just going to share those quickly, and then I'm going to invite you to ponder them today. Ask yourself, am I doing these positive things to enhance my communication and build my relationships, or am I not? And if not, why not? And then, am I doing any of these 5 pitfall things? And if so, why am I doing them? Is it because I'm so busy and so overwhelmed and so stressed out that I can't even take a deep breath? Then the root cause, we always want to find the root cause of something so we can focus on the solution for that. Because usually if we solve one thing at the root cause, it has this positive domino effect that positively impacts us in many areas and aspects of our life. Communication, we spent all last month focused on communication in different areas and aspects. We talked about, 30 different communication topics, 31, I think. This month, we're focusing on relationships, and some of those same topics come up, right? Because everything in our life is so interconnected. So what are these 5 good best practices in all types of relationships, whether it's your family relationships, your friendships, your work colleagues, your business involvement in different areas? I work with a group of business owners who are trying to scale and build and supersize and grow their business all the time. And their relationships with business as business owners are slightly different than if we're an employee or if we're just hired by someone else to be a part of the organization. But I will tell you, the secret to being a successful employee or any person and to really advance your career is take actual ownership in it. Act like an owner. And even though you're not, if you act as if you're an owner, you will make better decisions and better choices in alignment with that business and their values, and you will advance faster than anybody else in the organization. How do I know? Well, years of experience. So, number 1, what are the best practices? Active listening. If you don't practice any of the others on this list, I invite you to really practice and hone your active listening skills. Are you paying full attention? Are you not interrupting? Are you showing that you understand? Are you actually trying to figure out what the person is trying to convey with their words and their body language, and not just assuming and waiting to quickly answer what they're there to talk to you about or solve their problem for them? I think we would be so much better off as human beings and leaders and managers and whatever else and parents if we would just actively listen, figure out what the situation is in the other person's perspective, and then figure out what is it that they need from you. And if you don't know, ask. Well, and then paraphrase back what they're saying. And then if they agree, yeah, that's what I said, then ask, well, how can I help? What can I do for you? How can I help you to resolve this situation or what? Or do you not want me to do anything? You just want me to be a sounding board. We need to be clear on that. Number 2, nonverbal awareness. Whether we're aware of it or not, people are always paying attention to our body language. Are we making eye contact? What are our facial expressions? I will admit, I always noticed in my kids that I always knew exactly what they were thinking or feeling based on their facial expressions. It shows right on their face. And they're like, well, Mom, where do you think we got that? Because I do the same thing. So realize that even if you don't think you're having a reaction, people can sense how you're responding to what they're communicating via eye contact, body language, etc. Tone of voice is a big one too. I talked about that in the Be a Better You Annual Challenge. I read a study about our pets and how they respond to tone of voice. And I tried it out on my pets. I had 2 dogs and 2 cats at the time. And it was so powerful. I immediately paid more attention to my tone of voice because it has such an impact on the pets. I'm like, well, if it has that kind of impact on my cats and dogs, what kind of impact is it having on the people that I work with? And I realized that when I was communicating and I wasn't present or I was stressed out because I was paying bills and writing checks, people knew that I would react in a more negative way than if I was clearly paying attention to them because of my tone of voice. Clarity and honesty is the fourth element of good best practices in communication with anyone or any type of communication. And that means I am being clear and specific, or I'm asking clarifying and specific questions to clarify, and I'm being honest. If I don't know the answer to something, I'm not going to tell you I know it. I'm going to say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to find out. I learned that lesson early on too in my corporate career right out of college. You cannot fake it till you make it. You cannot fake anything. People can see right through if you are not being completely honest, clear, and if you're faking it. So the whole fake it till you make it advice, I'm going to recommend that you never listen to that and that you be honest and say, hey, I'm just getting started. But even if you're just getting started, you can help people that haven't started yet. Even if you've only got 5 years of management experience, that's 5 more years than a lot of the people that you're working with have, etc. And then the final best practice is timing. Know when to say something or communicate, and then know when not to. If somebody comes and communicates with me or asks me for something, I am already this deep in other things that I'm working on, the answer is probably going to be no. Not because I don't want to help them, not because I don't want to do it, but because I don't have the bandwidth to do it right now. But if they ask me when I'm calm and I'm having a break, or I obviously have time, then the answer is probably going to be yes, because I want to help whenever I possibly can. But I also know that I have to set what I say yes and no to based on what's most important to me creating in my life, the impact that I want to have. All right, so what are these 5 most common pitfalls? And I challenge you today to pay attention to see, am I doing these? And I will guiltily admit, I have been doing some of these lately. Even traveling, I have been doing now. Number 1, interrupting or finishing people's sentences. Now, in some relationships, it's perfectly okay to finish someone's sentence. I know most of my significant other relationships, we will finish each other's sentences, and that's okay because we know each other that well. My sisters and I, we always finish each other's sentences, and sometimes we're wrong, and the other sister will get really offended because we finish it wrong, but that's feedback that we need, right? Because we shouldn't always be interrupting and finishing other people's sentences. We shouldn't interrupt people thinking we know what they're going to say or what their story's going to be unless we've heard that story 50 times, because sometimes that does happen, and the other person doesn't realize it. But then we can find a polite way of letting them know that, right, without interrupting or finishing their story. Stonewalling is another strategy, or another, I'd say, not great practice to communication. I think it's one of those pitfalls we want to avoid. Stonewalling is when we just withdraw, or we ghost somebody, or we just leave the conversation altogether. And usually we leave the conversation altogether without letting the person know. I did share the story about, I can only think of one meeting, no matter how bad a meeting was, that I've ever been involved in, and there have been some really bad ones. There's only one meeting that I literally signaled to the person that set the meeting up, and I walked out. It was all negative. I had heard enough. It was a ridiculous request by a neighboring business through our city council member, and I had just gotten out of the hospital with sudden cardiac arrest. I had dropped dead. I'd just gotten out of the hospital. It was the first time I'd been back to my business, and a neighbor wanted us to put up a wall for them. And I'm like, not going to happen. And so I had heard enough bitching, whining, and complaining and moaning and expecting someone else to make up for their personal choices. And I waved to my city council member, who's awesome. And I left that meeting. I walked over to my business. I went in my office. I sat down. I had a cup of calming tea, and I just took a deep breath. And I'm like, this is not my problem. This is not my circus. It's not mine to address. I do not need to be a part of the meeting. And I left 4 other people representing my organization at that meeting, so I didn't feel bad bowing out. But that could be an example of stonewalling, because I just walked away. Now, following my sudden cardiac arrest, one of the biggest lessons I learned was that I have the power to say, I choose not to participate. Now, that drove my sisters nuts when I first started doing it. But a couple of things that I learned from my sudden cardiac arrest was that I have no right to judge. It's not my job to judge anyone or anything else. And judgment drove me nuts for a while. And I've kind of mellowed out after 13 years now on that. But I still will say sometimes I'm choosing not to participate in this because this is your problem to solve. And unless you can tell me how I can help, it's not my business to tell you how I can help, right? It's your business to ask if you want my help. So I guess choosing not to participate is a type of stonewalling, or it's just me communicating and clearly stating this is my boundary and I'm not going to pass it unless you ask me to pass it. Third, criticism that attacks the person, not the situation or the behavior. This is so rampant right now, especially on social media, that it's mind-boggling. And it's totally unacceptable. And I'll say it. All of the nonsense about Trump and Elon Musk, attacking them personally, attacking their businesses, trying to kill them, saying it's okay to kill them. This is not okay. This ain't right. I don't say ain't very often, but this ain't right. And something needs to be done about it. Attacking people because you don't like something that they do. And really, it's probably not even that you don't like something that they do. It's that you don't like something that the media told you that they did that isn't even true. So be careful with that. But that's part of the who am I to judge thing. It's like, it's not my business to judge other people. I can comment on their behavior if I don't like it because it doesn't meet my core values, but I have no right to criticize your personality or say you're an idiot or a moron or stupid or brainwashed. And I have been guilty of that because you post something ridiculous and I don't agree with it. Defensiveness is the fourth pitfall, and we want to watch that because if we're being defensive, that shuts down people being open and honest with us and giving us feedback or letting us know something is or isn't working in our relationships, and that will kill our relationships just about as fast as anything else will. And then finally, the last one, the fifth one, is sarcasm or passive aggressiveness. And this is one I admit I've been really guilty of lately on social media. And I committed in the Be a Better You Annual Challenge, I got to stop doing that because it doesn't hurt anybody but me. Nobody cares if I make a snide or duh comment on something. They couldn't care less. All it does is give them more visibility in the algorithm. And, usually it's a comment on a post that I don't want to get more visibility because I don't agree with it. All right, so that's our 10 ways to communicate, either get better at or to stop doing or really minimize when we do it. We'll still do things strategically in our communication because we want to communicate in a certain way or to do something for effect. But those are the things to be aware of. I would love to know your take on all of these. Share in the comments below your lessons learned. I shared some of mine, and that I still have a lot of work to do because we all do. We're all works in progress. But if I can help you anyway, ask clearly and honestly ask. And I'll let you know if I can do it or not. And if I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. But I probably do know somebody that no matter what your problem or situation is, I probably know somebody I can connect you with to help. All right. Have an awesome day. And I'll, of course, see you tomorrow.